Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Indy's Trusted Servant Show on INSPIREsmall.biz. Thanks to Ryan Henry for setting all this up and getting us started today. What is Indy's Trusted Servant? Well, that's me, Danny O'Malia. I do customer service training and keynote speaking about customer service. It's all about the culture of the organization. Learned all of that from my late father, Joe O'Malia, the master of all of that, way back in the O'Malia Food Market days, but way back before that when he owned a little store in Broad Ripple, where the Vanguard Bar is now. One cash register, 8 or 9 employees. One of them was a 9 and 10-year-old kid. He lost the store, came back 10 years later, opened O'Malia's very, very successfully, and I learned, among other things, never, ever, ever give up. If you're interested in my customer service training and keynoting, give me a call at 317-413-9062. What's the Indy's Trusted Servant Show on INSPIREsmall.biz? I like to describe it as lively local small biz and community talk where you can feel the pulse of Indy. And today, my guest actually is the major domo of INSPIREsmall.biz, Ryan Henry, and his partner in crime, Chris Reed of Creed. He'll tell you a little bit about that in a second. We're really here to talk about them relaunching the Sparks networking thing. And I'm going to turn over to Chris and ask him to give us the beginnings of Sparks and so on and so forth. And you can talk a little about Creed too.
Well, thanks, Danny, for having me on the show, and good to see you again, Ryan, as always. Well, we're super excited about this opportunity to take Sparks forward. When COVID hit, I was the last guy that wanted to shut down a networking group because it was my life, and it taught us a lot. It exploded my business because everybody stayed at home and they needed to do something to their house, so they decided that they'd put their vacation money into a deck on the back of their house, and my business just blew up. It was amazing.
And that's what you do. You put decks on the back of houses.
Yep, decks, pergolas, porches. We finished basements for families in Hamilton County and have been doing it for over a decade. But Sparks stopped, and we did.
Before you go on to that, give the folks your contact info on your business.
I'm so sorry. Find us on Facebook under Creed Improvements to see lots of pictures of our work. I have a great crew of guys that are super specialized and very skilled carpenters. And you can also text me at 317-626-1177 in which to get an estimate, get your stuff into our system and get an estimate started for you. We're super excited to be in our 14th year of serving families in Hamilton County. So to Sparks. So Sparks ended with COVID. It got put on hold, and quite frankly, it had taken me about 15 to 18 hours a month in order to put on the Sparks events that I was doing, and I couldn't sacrifice that time to my business any longer, which is such an interesting flip.
It's a good problem to have.
It's a wonderful problem to have. And so kind of missing something. And when this all started coming back and Ryan was doing what he was doing and I saw what he was doing, I just said, hey, I'd like to be a part of that. And so I signed on immediately to become a sponsor of the Spotlight Lunch on the second Friday of each month at Pinheads. And I really enjoyed that and enjoyed working with Ryan. And we started talking about, hey, what would this look like for him to start Sparks back up? And for me personally,
Did you ever go to Sparks before?
I hadn't. I was registered for an event, and then COVID happened.
Okay.
He was supposed to come to the event when COVID killed it. So,
yeah.
Funny that those things happen like that, but super excited from the standpoint of seeing what he will do with it. And people have asked me a lot, hey, I heard you're starting Sparks back up, and I have to quickly say it like I say it to them, and I'll say it to the camera, is it's not mine anymore, it's his. I sold Sparks to Ryan Henry, and he gets to do what he will with Sparks. And I'm saying it that way because of the control freak in me that spent almost a decade sharpening the tool that Sparks was and connecting people, inspiring them, and causing them to want community and inspiration. And that's what Sparks was all about. I mean, again,
describe more how an evening of Sparks worked, and then you had that lunch on the side.
Yeah, so we had a luncheon, which was a preview event. Some people can't attend an after-hours event, or they don't realize that an after-hours event would be worth their time. So we had a preview event called a luncheon, in which we'd watch one Sparks talk together, and then in the tables that we had, we'd be an 8 or 10 people at a table. We'd round robin talk about what we got from that talk. And those conversations are why I started Sparks, because I wanted to watch inspirational content, life lessons, golden nuggets of wisdom, and then listen to what other people had to say about it, because oftentimes I heard a different message or I heard a different slant to it through my own filter, that through your filter I got to understand something a little deeper. And that's what I was looking for from Sparks, was a way to create those relationships. And so the evening event fed into it with a similar mentality of, we got together, we had adult cocktails and a little bit of nosh, and then we watched a half-an-hour show, which consists of 2 4-minute talks and 1 10-minute talk from our headliner. And there was a timer on the bottom of the screen. You can watch 280 talks that we have online to see an example of what these talks look like. And we share them online, but more so, there was a half an hour to 45 minutes after the show to then talk with people about what we learned that evening and what we walked away from. And those conversations really were very interesting to me personally, because it exposes more of that person's character by what they got from something than they could ever do for themselves by talking about their business and what they do. So passion and inspiration is an amazing thing. So with that said, I'm just super excited to see what Ryan does with Sparks. I know he's feverishly working on this, and we're going to launch this in August. And so just excited to get together with you guys today and talk a little bit about this, so that people can get excited as we are.
Tell the viewers, well, first of all, where was Sparks? What was how did it start? Okay, and then where was it, and what was the average attendance?
So I ran a networking group for a networking event for another entity in town for several years, and we were moving locations, and it was kind of the same old thing. And I said to myself, I want something to be different about this. And we were talking with the small group that we had created, of business professionals that were networking together. Power Circle, if you will, it's called. And we were talking about that, and somebody said, well, what inspires you the most? And I said, well, TED Talks inspire me the most. And somebody said, well, let's just do that. And that's when a conversation was around the idea of how could we host a mini TED event, because everybody said, let's just get one speaker and they'll talk. And I was like, well, no, wait a minute. One speaker could really suck, and everybody will never come back because they saw this one speaker. So if we had 3 speakers,
they can't all
suck. One of them has to be good, you know. One of them's got to be entertaining or motivational. So so that's where the 3 talks came from. And then the timer. The timer happened because I know how I am and how we all are, and we could run on and on and on when we're talking about something we're passionate about. And we knew early on that we had to keep it tight in order to accomplish the mission of reaching people. And so the idea of 2 4-minute talks and a 10-minute talk came, but then we found timing software that we could put easily on a monitor and show the audience. And that's the first guy showed up. And I just want to give this to you because you're going to hear this at some point. But the first guy showed up. He was supposed to give me his slides the day before. And we were only going to have 1 speaker that very first night. And he showed up and he gave me a fob drive like 10 minutes before the show started. And the crowd's there and everybody's abuzz. And I go to transfer it, and it says it's transferring 180 slides. And I'm thinking, for a 10-minute talk, 180 slides is not going to happen. That's like 18 seconds of talk, right? A slide. And I looked at the guy and said, you know, you got 10 minutes? And he says, yeah. And I said, listen, I go, you're not going to cover all this content. What do you want to do? He says, just copy it over and I'll go from there. And I said, I apologize, man, but you have missed the mark already. I said, these people are instructed to clap you off the stage when the counter hits 0.
And they did.
And that's what happened was that guy kept talking through almost a minute of applause when he finally went, okay, I guess this is my time. And he walks off stage, and I just, again, the last part of it was, I walked up to him afterward and said, how'd that go for you? And he said, well, you're going to learn that 10 minutes is not enough time to get a point across. And I said, okay, well, that was the first, and it literally took one more show, and it all fell in line. And I'll say one last thing about that was, a gentleman gave a talk about, it's called Daring to Dream, and it's a really amazing 4-minute talk. And he just you have to watch it. It's just an amazing talk. And when he was done, I asked him, I said, how'd that go for you? And he said, he says, I've been giving this exact same talk to Rotary clubs all over central Indiana, and anyone would listen in 40 minutes. And he says, I did it in 4 minutes, and I got the exact same reaction from the audience.
Maybe even better. Maybe even better.
I think so too, because again, if you could look it up, it's a fact that human beings have the attention span of less than a goldfish. And the idea, if you can speak and hold their attention and entertain them at the same time you reach them in less than 4 minutes, you're going to be valuable as a public speaker, and that's really what it comes down to, I think, for Sparks.
And what was the average attendance of a typical Sparks
about 80,
event?
85 people.
Right.
We set a record at 100, almost 150 one night, because Scott Wise from Scotty's Brewhouse came to tell his story, and that just really helped pack the house a little extra. But usually about 85 to 100 people.
So it was a big
average.
It was a big networking.
Yeah, for 8 years. For 8 years we did it consistently. And you also asked about where we held them. We held them in back rooms of bars. We held them in comedy clubs, because comedy clubs weren't busy on a Wednesday night, and we were out of there by 7 o'clock, so they could still have an 8:30 show. Again, we wanted places that had adult beverages already, and had some food option that we could use for some simple catering, because again, we were hopeful that the people that sponsored it, as well as the partners that helped put it on a monthly basis, would use it as a great first step to a new relationship. We've all been there at a networking event. When the 15th realtor comes up to you and says, I'd love to get a cup of coffee with you and get to know you, because we could help each other's business, and you want to say yes to that, but you've already done 10 of those this week, and you promised your business that you were going to spend more. So you say, hey, come to Sparks with me. Let's go to do that together. You be my guest, because I'm a member, etc. And let's have that experience together. And it was a great first step. If they never came back, then you didn't waste that hour of a cup of coffee.
And how long did Sparks run? How many years was it?
It was 8 years.
8 years.
8 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
So along comes COVID.
Yeah.
And I suspect that COVID really blew everybody's doors off about March of 20, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Was February of 20 your last Sparks event?
No, we had in April.
You got through April.
We had hand sanitizer, and we practiced the elbow bump.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
We elbow bumped everybody. And to be honest with you, I didn't get any, I got some alarmist reactions to that early on, because we were literally we were the week before the shutdown. I think it was, or 2 weeks before the shutdown, but what I also didn't get was that half the audience had come down with it. So I was really delighted that that we didn't suffer that as well. So yeah.
So since then there has been no Sparks.
That's right.
But other networking things, including a lot of stuff Ryan's doing, they've resurfaced, right?
Lots of really
People are
good
getting
stuff.
out again.
Yeah.
So let's turn it over to Ryan, and you talk about what you hope Sparks will be going forward, building on what Chris built.
Sure. Well, so in I think it was November of last year, Chris and I got connected and sat down for a beer, and we were talking about INSPIREsmall.biz had just started to advertise our preview party for 2023, which was new for us, to be able to go out and say we know what we're going to do for the whole year at one time, which isn't very common when you're talking about other networking events. Usually you have a month or two lead time, but we went ahead and planned out everything we were going to do for the year, and so that got Chris's attention, and so we sat down for a beer, and we just kind of got to know each other and found out that we both have the underlying mission of we want everybody we encounter, whether it's at an event or as our business, to go out into the world and thrive, building their own business, making sure that we're providing a good product to each of our customers. And so that really helped us get connected. And so Chris was happy to sponsor a good handful of our events this year. And so he will continue to be our sponsor through the rest of 2023. So far, we just got that confirmed before we went on air here.
Very good, Chris.
So after we had the preview party, we packed the room here at Refinery 46. We started up a Business Spotlight under our leadership in January.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So
you might as well.
Yeah, we got so much going on. So Business Spotlight is this great networking event that's on the second Friday of every month, with the exception of December. So we went ahead and the previous hosts, Julie Pesic and Jeff Slane, had hosted it for a number of years, and their businesses got to the point where they didn't have the time anymore to dedicate to it. And since we had managed ourselves to kind of navigate COVID, and we went from in March of 2020 having 9 in-person networking groups meeting to consolidating and doing them all on Zoom. And so we were looking at a way to get back out there into live in-person networking. So it was a great opportunity for us to take over an already thriving event. 30 to 50 people would show up to it every month. Everyone who shows up gets some time with a microphone to tell the whole room who they are and what they're looking for.
Well, it's usually more than 30 to 50.
Now it is.
Yeah.
Now it is.
Yeah.
So we didn't set the expectations too high. We figured if we could get that 30 to 50 people again, we'd be great. And then January came around and we had 80.
Tell folks how, if they want to go to Biz Spotlight, it's the second Friday of the month at Pinheads in Noblesville. How do they sign up ahead, and what's the advantage of signing up ahead?
So let's answer that part first. If you sign up in advance, but before the Monday of the week of Spotlight, you get your information included in a paper booklet that everybody who attends receives. The advantage to that is if you hear somebody introduce themselves that really piqued your interest, you don't have to chase them down to get a business card. But everybody who shows up, we time it at 45 seconds now because 80 people's a lot of people to get through.
It is, and it's a lot of realtors to get through.
And to Chris's point, human beings have an extremely short attention span. So if you're just going on and on and on and on and on about what you do, no one's paying attention to that. So the 45 seconds is a challenge. You have to get your value proposition across in a way that makes people want to pay attention to you. And so the more engaging you can be, the better your chances are of connecting with someone. And we've been very fortunate that the event leaves us with some time after we get through everyone's introductions to go around the room and set a meeting. We always encourage people, set at least one follow-up meeting before you leave the room. And the really cool thing about Spotlight, it's free to attend. All you have to do is purchase your own lunch.
Right.
And Pinheads has some really good lunch options, and their wait staff is great. We kind of had to get to know each other period for a few months this year.
Yes.
I'm not sure if they really believed we were going to pack the house, and so the first couple of months was a bit of a challenge to make sure everybody got their food and their bill in a timely manner, so you're not sitting there waiting.
It's getting better though. It's getting a lot better.
Real
quick though, that the thing handing out the names and everything to everyone on that list, just the thing that he didn't mention that I find, because I'm a skilled networker, I know exactly who I'd like to meet in that room, and there's 85 people, and that's the reason why I like to attend, because of that list. And because if you're like me, I don't need to listen to all those 85, 45-second pitches. I can look down a list. I can look at business classifications, the type of businesses that people are in like literally 5 minutes, I can find the 4 people in the room that I want to meet. And I'm texting them while all that's going on, saying, hey, I saw you in the listing, that my name's Chris Reed, I'm with Creed Improvements. I feel like we go after the same marketplace.
Great
I'd
idea.
love to get a cup of coffee. and literally before I've gotten up there to give mine, I've already booked coffees with people. During the meeting. So.
Great idea. Okay, so that's Biz Spotlight.
Yes,
and you can come at the last minute if you want. You just won't get on the list.
And to get registered for it, you go to www.INSPIREsmall.biz/spotlight.
I like the fact that you still can come, because some people don't know they're going to be able to come till the last minute. So that's open.
Yes.
Okay. And maybe next time they'll sign up ahead.
Yep.
That's the hope, yes. And we want as many people to register in advance as possible for 2 reasons. 1, to make sure that they're in the booklet. 2, so we can also give Pinheads a bit of a heads up so they have enough staff for us. And for the last 2 months now, July will be our 3rd month, they realized we had gotten too big for the back room that we had been in. So we got moved out into the main restaurant. So we were bringing a larger crowd than their normal lunch rush. So they put us in this beautiful space where we all have room to breathe. The servers like it because they can actually get around with each other's, with their customers'
Also the kitchen
food.
too.
Well, and you know what? The whole thing with Biz Spotlight, Sparks, it's a win-win for the organization. It's a win-win for the host.
Yes, it is.
Restaurant or whatever. So
all of it,
that's good stuff.
Yes.
So now we're back to Sparks,
Yes.
far away.
So I believe it was January or February. Chris and I sat down again for a drink, and he had mentioned to me that with the way Creed Improvements was thriving, he didn't have the time in his calendar to justify getting Sparks started up again himself. And he presented the opportunity for INSPIREsmall.biz to purchase Sparks and continue it for him. So he stays so busy with all of the great projects that he posts on Facebook, which if you don't follow Creed Improvements on Facebook, pause this video and go over there and take a look, because he posts a ton of pictures about his projects. But so we came up with this idea of all of the content already existed from previous Sparks. So all of those amazing speakers that were part of Sparks previously, there's a video for them and a formula to be able to carry on a program. So this is how you do it. This is the equipment you need to execute it. And these are some, good things to look for in a venue, because unfortunately the last place that Sparks After Hours was meeting no longer is in business. So
because of COVID.
Yes, and so it left us with a really good foundation of the things that have already happened with Sparks, and really good name recognition in the Indy area. So I believe there was, over the last, since 2012 when you started this, you had about 7,000 different people that have attended at least one Sparks event.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's a huge list of people that have been involved previously, and so it fits right into what INSPIREsmall.biz does, because we focus on wanting to help people get their business up and running and help them take that business to the next step, where it's either a side hustle that becomes a full-time business, or it's a business that they're running day to day that we want them to get to where it's time to hire employees and they're building their legacy on it. So it was a perfect fit for us, and so Chris and I came to an agreement where we purchased the name, the back content, all of the equipment that he owned to produce a successful Sparks Talk. And so we just ran with it. So our very first event is coming up in August. We have a Sparks lunch. I believe it's the 4th, which is a Friday.
That's a lunch?
That's a lunch,
okay.
Yes. And so what we're going to do, since it's the first return of Sparks, we're going to look back. I haven't picked it out yet, but I'm going to look for my personal favorite talks, since there's 300 of those videos, a good amount to choose from. And we're going to show that just to kind of set the inspiration of, this is what Sparks is, and this is what we're trying to put back out there for everybody, because we look at events as, it's not just about us as an organization putting on a good event. It's making sure that every single person who attends walks out of that room feeling inspired to improve themselves and to improve their business. So we have set our theme for August of comebacks, which sounded perfect since there was a 3-year pause. Yeah, and Danny O'Malia here is going to be our first speaker at the Sparks After Hour event on Wednesday, August 9th. Now,
Wednesday, August 9th. I better write that.
Yeah,
yes, you should. So we haven't finalized our Sparks lunch venue yet. However, we have secured the Northside Events and Social Club for our after hours event. And if you yourself are looking for a venue space to host an event, I highly recommend them. So they're going to put us in the council room to begin with, since just like with Spotlight, we don't want to kind of overextend ourselves and say we're going to blow the doors off the place. But the council room will give us space for up to 80. And from there, we have room in the building to grow. We can move to the dining room after that, which could fit up to 150. And then hopefully my personal goal is one day we need that ballroom, which fits up to 300.
And for those of you who are uninitiated, that used to be the Northside KFC.
Yes, the Knights of
71st
Columbus.
and Keystone. So.
And that address is 2100 East 71st Street. And that building has a special significance to me because my wife Carly and I got married there in 2013. So
what, can I add a personal note?
Sure.
It has a special significance to me because I got my first kiss in the parking lot.
Ah.
Okay. So.
Holy smokes, man!
See, there's a lot of history.
A lot of history. A lot of history.
And so we have decided that for the first Sparks After Hours, it's taco night.
Awesome.
So we're going to serve tacos
My
at the
favorite.
event. There will also be a cash bar since the Northside Events and Social Club has a liquor license.
Great.
They have a fully stocked bar. So come on down and have some tacos and a few beverages and enjoy 3 engaging speakers on comebacks.
Hey, I want to say this. He doesn't expect this, but I'd like to buy the first 20 people in the door a free cocktail.
Hey, you heard it here first.
Oh, man.
Chris Reed.
I'm going to hand you a ticket at the door if you're the first 20 persons.
Oh, fantastic.
Awesome.
Also, I have another special offer for everyone here since Chris had ordered these small tabletop light bulbs for Sparks pre-COVID.
Oh, yeah,
right. Those were some of the items that come with the equipment.
Still got those.
I still got those, yeah.
So until supplies run out, anyone who signs up for an INSPIREsmall.biz business builder membership, which includes your ticket to Sparks After Hours, you're going to receive one of those light bulbs. You could set it on your desk, on your table. We're going to use some of them as centerpieces in the room to illuminate things.
That's cool.
So we want to make sure that we're giving people something to take out of the room with them as well, so they can always look and say, that was a really cool freaking event.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So the evening event is going to be at the Northside KFC, Northside
Events and Social Club.
Events and Social Club. Still don't have a spot for the lunch yet.
Correct.
And that's August 4th.
That's correct. And so by the time this episode airs, we should have our venue ready, and so it'll be in the description here. So if you're watching this on YouTube, just scroll down a little bit and you'll see all that information.
How do you sign up?
So you go to www.inspiresmall.biz/sparks.
For both events?
For both events. Yep, we keep it simple.
Now, do you have to sign up ahead?
Yes.
Yes.
So Sparks After Hours is a ticketed event. And so if you are not an INSPIREsmall.biz member, tickets are $25. If you buy them in advance, if you show up at the door, it's $35.
Okay. 25 in advance, 30 at the door.
35 at the door.
35 at the door.
Yeah, for non-members.
What's a membership cost?
So our business builder membership with INSPIREsmall.biz is $49 a month or $490 a year, and that includes one ticket to each of the Sparks After Hours events.
Does it include the lunches too?
The lunch, there is no cost to attend those.
No cost.
So that is open to everybody. Just like Spotlight, it's come for free. Purchase your own lunch to support the venue that we're using.
We just got a minute or so left. What do you guys want to add?
Well, I just super excited about this. The partnership's been amazing. Looking forward to all the things that we get to create over this next year. The people that we'll reach in the community that we're going to gather through this.
How about you, Ryan?
So I just look at this as a really good opportunity to continue the legacy of an event that just about everyone that I've encountered over the years has heard of.
And they've had a positive experience of some kind.
Yes.
Yes. And it's cool. I will say this, it's cool. Ryan, you weren't here in Indianapolis before.
That's right.
That's right. Before Sparks had to shut down, right? You were not here yet.
No, I was here.
You were here. You were signed up and got shut down.
I didn't get to attend. So
how had you heard about it, by the way?
Okay, so pre-COVID, I ran an organization called Open in Indiana, which was small format networking groups, and a lot of our members would always talk about Sparks. So Christian Tombers, owner of Charlie Tango Productions, he always brought tickets with him to the events. And so if you wanted to go, he had your ticket. He'd get you in the room. So he was a really strong advocate for everything that Chris was doing to build up Sparks.
I was giving those tickets out too.
Yeah,
that's great. I love those tickets.
And so not just Christian, but a lot of our members had incredible things to say about leaving that event feeling inspired to go out and continue building their business. So Chris, I'd like to thank you for everything that you've done building up Sparks, and to everyone watching, I want to commit to making sure that we keep that positive energy so that we continue to inspire more people for many years to come.
Next, thanks Chris, and thanks Ryan, but you're always here anyway. Next week our guest will be Lisa Rawlings of the Indiana State Police Foundation. They do great stuff.
Yes,
we'll see you next week.